I'm gonna go ahead and record this. I just hit recording. Steven's on a plane acting important, and he said these guys want to hear more from y'all. I don't believe he said y'all, but I'm gonna add that in because I am in Texas. So again, we had a lot of questions. Brandon and I have been business partners forever. We're doing lease option properties, and predominantly we're operating in the Southeast, right? So if you take Texas and Oklahoma and just draw basically a straight line over to North Carolina, and actually we did last week after our call, I had just got done saying we've never bought one in Florida, and we just grabbed one in Florida, right? That one, if anybody wants to lend on that, by the way, we're buying it for $199. We're probably going to put about $50,000 or $60,000 into it. It's a 2012 build, so it's really just kind of a cosmetic update because a giant dog chewed everything. So that's literally the reason why we're getting it. The cabinets are shot, the floors are shot, the door frames are shot. The master vanities are shot, but it's only because, what was it, Big Red or Rover or whatever, right, from the children's books. He kind of went at it. So we're getting it. And by the way, there's one pending right now, which is pretty much right where the end value is going to be, but it's pending at 370, right? So we're going to be all in for 260-ish. And the property's going to be worth 370. So we've immediately got, if anybody's got a first lien interest in that one at 260, we could probably do that one at 10%. It's so new, I don't even have a flyer yet. So just hit us up on the side. Not our bread and butter, not what we do normally.
So we really want to show, we've had a lot of people reach out to us even after the meeting last week and said, hey, I like what you guys are doing. Can you guys walk us through, like, how did you find it? How do you analyze it? Like, how do you know what the rehab's going to be? Like, how do you know if this is an actual deal? And so when I went and got my MBA, I mean, everything is case study oriented. And so I love case studies. And so I was kind of telling Dwight, if I wasn't going to be able to be on the call, I said, from what I heard the audience say, is kind of, let's walk them through a typical property that we purchase, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that we want to keep forever. And how can people kind of get involved working with us if this is something that they like doing? And then again, walk them through why this is a good property that we believe is a safe investment. Again, having done over 1,500 houses, we use the word safe because I don't think we've ever lost money on a deal like this. The ones that you and I have faltered on in the past have been like $500,000 stuff, which we don't even have anymore. And so everything we do right now is all about 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We can be all in for $100,000 and it rents for $1,200 a month, and walk people through the economics of that and how is that a good investment for them, but also show them why it's a good investment for us. Because a lot of people that I talk with from the show are interested in even doing this themselves.
Right. So again, guys, remember, Brandon and I are here as educators. Obviously, we are borrowers as well, but I say this every single time. If anybody here is interested in buying and they just want advice, or you just want to learn how to run comps, or like what's typical to pay for a brand new HVAC, or if you guys need anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are around all the time. Our kids are forcing us to actually sometimes take weekends off, which has been kind of nice and different for us, but we really do like giving back, right? So if anybody has any questions on that, again, 1,500 deals is a lot of deals, and 1,495 of those deals went really, really well, and the 5 that did not go so well, we probably learned more from than the 1,495 that actually went well. So welcome to Columbus, Georgia. Guys, welcome to Columbus, Georgia. There is a military base in Columbus. We have boots on the ground in Columbus now. It's one of our newest cities. Bought this cute little thing. Honestly, it's 1,176 square feet. Sure. It's currently a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The owner is just a tired landlord. This landlord just wanted to get out. He has done a lot of stuff. You can see, let me just kind of zoom in a little bit. Look at the kitchen as is. Like, that kitchen as is almost looks like our after pictures, right? So we're not really going to have to do a lot to this property. You can see over here, you can see on the right side of the screen, you can see that it's already got a nice shower surround in here, vanity, toilet, obviously. And then this side of things is just, they've already even cut a hole from the kitchen to the living room. Right. So we're very excited about this property. This is one definitely for a smaller, sorry, my zooming skills went a little crazy there. This one's definitely one that we can hold on to. But the cool thing about this is we'll be in and out of this in like a week. Right. So it's going to take us tops 2 weeks to do this remodel. This is a first lien fix and flip opportunity. So those of you on this call that, that are interested in lending, we just signed it. Right. I had to beg Brandon to do a flyer for it last night, just so I just wanted to show everybody here, because again, everybody that's come to us is in different positions, right? So some people have $1 million, some people have 10 grand, some people want their money out for 7 years at a time. Sometimes it's a year. So I understand that everybody, there is no one size fits all when it comes to real estate lending. Brandon and I also both lend. I think between the two of us, we have about $1 million out right now for lending. And so we completely understand both sides, right? The goal on this one, as you can see, is to do new paint and flooring. Probably put a new roof on it. We really do. And I'm gonna let Brandon kind of get more into that, but why don't you talk about CapEx just a little bit and then you can jet out.
So CapEx, I mean, for us, it's really about taking care of the items when we buy it. So whether it's us or hedge funds, we learned a lot of this from them. They said, spend the money when you buy it. So you shouldn't have to do anything for at least 5 years. So we're gonna check out the HVAC, and so something big on air conditioners is if they have Freon, get rid of them, because Freon right now is incredibly expensive. So our focus is to really try to put air conditioners in, and plus tenants love it when it's obviously a brand new AC as well. So we're gonna look at the AC, the roof. It doesn't look bad in the picture, but one of our boots on the ground says it needs a new roof.
They said it has, quote, 2 to 4 years left, right? So Brandon and I have a rule with our rental properties in that, and back at the CapEx thing, right? It's like, if we think something's going to not make it 5 years, it's just better to replace it up front. So
agreed.
What kind of, tell them about what kind of roof, how would you do that on this one?
Yeah, so that's just going to be a normal 3-tab shingle. We have some really good contacts with metal roofs, so we're going to get a bid for new 3-tab shingle, but we're also going to get a bid for a metal roof. A metal roof, the material's a little bit more, but the labor's very easy because you just put the metal directly on top of the existing roof. It's not heavy at all, so it's not going to be a weight challenge. And we can usually do that for very similar, if not a little bit less than ripping off the existing shingles and putting down a brand new roof. So another thing I loved about this house was the windows are new. So they look like new or vinyl windows. That's a brand new front door. We'll probably, I don't know if we're going to paint it or leave the red shutters, but that's usually pretty easy to fix. It's just a perfect house that, like, if you and I tried to build this in Columbus, we could not build this thing for $83,000. Heck, I don't think we could build it for $115,000. So our focus is to buy as many of these as we can and provide a great place for someone to raise their family in. So roof, HVAC. There's a little bit of discrepancy of kind of one of the rooms. We're gonna have to put a door in one of the walls so that the floor plan's not as funky. But other than that, it's paint and flooring. And that's it. Of course, we're going to check all the plumbing. We're going to check all the electric, make sure everything's safe and okay. But if it wasn't for the roof and the HVAC, this thing would be a lot less than what we were going to spend. And we'd probably need a little bit less. But we want to make sure that we do it right on the front side. And then lastly, right before we're done, we're going to clean up the exterior. We'll probably power wash the exterior and do some nice mulch, or in Georgia, they don't use as much mulch. They put that pine needle. So we'll put a weed barrier down. We'll clean up the landscape, make sure the tree's not touching the house or the roof. Yeah, just right there in that front area. And we might get rid of that shrub in the front. Yeah, we might get rid of something like that just to make it open it up a little bit more.
The new Charlie Brown Christmas tree right here.
That's right.
I think we can save it. We'll just nurture it back to life. Yeah.
So, but that light fixture's fine. I mean, it's a great little house. So yeah. I'm definitely excited about it. So really nice fun, Dwight.
So Brand, thanks, man. So I run the acquisitions team, right? When my people, when my teammates brought me this deal, I said, look, it's a $68,000 deal. Just to kind of get more into the numbers, we're probably going to put about $15,000 into this thing, and that does include the roof. I think Brandon had said earlier the roof would be about $5,500 to put a metal roof. Is that still what you're thinking?
It's a smaller footprint. I think that should be worst case scenario. We
Okay.
just put the one on in Lexington, North Carolina for 4,900. So my
Got it.
goal is under 5.
Got it. So call it $5,000 for the roof, and then maybe $10,000 in cosmetics, right? So to paint a 1,200 square foot house should cost us roughly $2,500, just depending upon if we're having to do any of the, hole patching, trim work, et cetera. This property is vacant. It had tenants in it. So why we love buying them vacant, because there's never a question at closing on, if we're going to walk into an asset that needs more work at the last minute. Right. The flooring, you can kind of see it. The pictures are a little small, but the flooring in the kitchen is actually like a laminate LVP kind of flooring already. So it is maintenance free. So on here, when it says new flooring to be done, we're looking probably just at recarpeting the bedrooms and maybe doing the bathrooms again, just to kind of freshen it up just a little bit. But I think the kitchen looks really, really nice. Again, rearranging a little bit of the floor plan. Apparently one of the bedrooms right now, you have to walk through to get to the master. So we're going to fix that. Right now, I would count it kind of more like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So we definitely want to fix that. There's a couple of different ways we can do it. So we're kind of looking through that. But honestly, that's just going to be a little bit of carpentry work. So it shouldn't interfere too much with keeping that budget really, really low. And then the last part, you can't see it from this picture, but right now, and I wish I had it up, I should have got it for you guys, but there's a vanity that's literally, it's a pedestal sink, and it's turned so that you actually have to almost sit on the toilet to use the sink. So we're going to yank that out. And then ironically, there is a 4-foot linen closet in the master bathroom. So we're literally just going to put probably a 36 or 42-inch vanity just on the other wall. So we're going to fix that. But all of that stuff with our resources, guys, can be done for super cheap. I mean, 10 grand. So 2,500 for paint. Let's call it another $1,000 for carpet, just to keep it even. That's 3,500, 5,000 for the roof. That's 8,500, maybe $1,500 to fix the master. That's 10 grand. And then I still have 5,000, plenty of money to power wash the exterior. That's vinyl siding, clean it, do some exterior paint if we have to, some landscape, et cetera. Right. So we might actually be able to get in and out of this thing for like 12 grand. So that'll be really, really good. If anybody is interested in lending, again, we're very educational, but we do have lending opportunities. This thing does need to close in 2 weeks. So we probably need to hear from somebody this week on this, but we'll lend, or we'll borrow $83,000 on this one. We do offer 10%. This is first lien real estate. So we had some Q&A last time about the difference between first lien and second lien. This is first lien. It's the most solid you can get. If for some reason, and by the way, this has never, ever happened out of 1,500 deals, but if for some reason, Brandon and I default, or both of us get hit by a truck, hopefully not, you would actually be able to foreclose on the house and get an asset back that is worth, basically it's worth 115 right now. So we're kind of going through all this work on this house just to make it even more saleable, even tenant friendlier, I guess you could say. We just want to lease it super quick. And when we buy properties, we always try to do things like floor plan changes, move the vanity to the other side of the master bath, put a roof on, like we talked about with CapEx. We really want to do that stuff up front, right? So all in, I mean, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but what's 83 divided by 115?
I'm doing it right now for you. 72%.
Yeah, so it's a 72% deal on a smaller deal. We say a 12-month term. So Brandon, I really wanted to get into that because I had questions. I actually had people texting and hitting me up on in the social group, right? And spaced on what it's called, right? But I've got people that were asking about our terms, not our terms, but just how does all this work, right? So, we write all of our terms for our lending, right, at a 12-month term. And the reason why we do that is we would really prefer to under promise and over deliver. And so what does that mean? Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about like what our normal timeframes are, especially for a project like this, and actually what it includes? Because a lot of people think, and I've gotten this a lot of people think that the term should only cover the amount of time that the actual remodel is going. So whether it's a flip or a rental, that's actually not the case. So I don't know if it's super loud or if you can kind of dive into that a little bit.
So it's very traditional to do a 12-month term, and that's why we do it. Is because, I mean, what if interest rates did something really, really weird and we need to hold the property a little bit longer? Then we're not having to basically redo paperwork. So we would, obviously the property would be rented and then we would be paying our monthly interest payments. But 12 months is just very traditional. And so that's why we do it. On a property like this, though, I would estimate that their money would be out for 4 to 6 months.
Let's talk a little bit about the economy and how that's affecting like the refi side of things, right? So like we've already heard from many of our backside refi sources for our for our rentals that we keep, that those timeframes have actually gone up. So can you maybe go a little bit into like how that's shaping up, just and again, not just for lenders, right? For just the timing aspect, we want to be real, but we also want to, kind of help people that are trying to do this, the BRRRR method, right? Buy, repair, rehab, rent, repeat. I think I added an R, but yeah.
No, absolutely. So I just got an email from one of our lenders that he's ordering the appraisal today. And so a property like this is going to be one that as soon as everything's done, the property's rented, and we just use the word stabilized. It should be no more than 3 to 4 months. Then we contact our lender. And so depending on the lending environment, Dwight and I, we can put it directly into a 30-year loan, which is what we prefer to do. The last loan that we did was not last week, the week before, was 7.3% is what we ended up doing a 30-year loan. Now in March, we were 4.685%. So it's gone up pretty drastically. So another option that we've been looking at are something called a 5/1 ARM, which it's a shorter term, it's still a long-term loan, but your rate's locked for 5 years. And so these loans right now, the process is as soon as it's rented, we contact the lender. Whether it's a 5/1 or a 30-year loan, they're basically going to hire an appraiser to come out and appraise the property. That normally costs about, just call it $800 to have done. The appraiser is going to go out there. They're going to look at the property, assess comps, and we will provide them some of our comps as well, just to kind of help them out in case they do need some help. And then right now, due to the influx of people when the interest rates jumped really quick, I think it scared a bunch of people really fast. And so the last time I talked to this one lender, they said they have 4 times the number of properties in their underwriting than they normally do. So things are taking, he said it's now 4 to 5 weeks to close after they get the appraisal back. Now, normally that's about a 2-week close after the appraisal's back, but just due to the large number of volume of paper that they have to push right now, it's taken about double the time. So the reason I say this could be 4 to 6 months is because, we don't just rent it to the first person that raises their hand. We have a pretty strict underwriting guidelines. They have to make 3 times the rent. They have to have no evictions, no criminal report, nothing like that. And sometimes it can take us 14 days to 35 days to even find a tenant. So we buy it, we rehab it, we find a tenant. That could all take about 3 months. And then based on this right here, it could be another probably 2 to 3 weeks to get the appraiser out, and then another 4 to 5 weeks to close. And so even when things go really smoothly, that's kind of how 4 to 5 months can kind of get added up very quickly. So that's the process. But we do have a gentleman that works with us, and all he does is talk to lenders every single day. And we're constantly trying to find new lenders on the backside. What I mean by backside is after we borrow your money on the front side, we call that front side because we're buying it to fix it up. backside is put it into longer term money. We're constantly looking for new people, so they can make the process smoother and smoother as we do more and more volume.
You can tell Brandon's the detailed guy and I'm the guy that just does jokes, right? But I think it's so important what he said, that we just don't put in, and whether it be this type of loan or I know a lot of people had questions, and I do want to kind of go to a like a rental back microloan next. Brandon, I downloaded the Boswell flyer just to kind of show everybody.
Perfect.
But before we get into that, just to wrap up, we don't put the first tenant in. They have to be qualified. I actually have some of our underwriting here. We use credit score. We obviously look at bankruptcies. We look at evictions. If they have any sort of unpaid collections of anything in the last 7 years, it's an immediate decline. If they have a pending foreclosure or foreclosure with debts owed, it's an immediate decline. If they have a bankruptcy that's open or it's been discharged in the last 0 to 3 years, it's an immediate decline, because the last thing we want is to be wrapped up into that. Right. Also, and Brandon mentioned it, they need to make 3 times for income. But the other component we've been looking at a lot lately is net income. Right. So it's like, now it's not just 3x. We're looking for their net income, preferably to be at least 2x, because obviously we know that, it doesn't matter what it says on your paycheck. It really matters what you bring home. Right. So obviously the more money a resident makes, whether it be a him and a her or whoever in that house, it makes our security even better. Yeah. If you guys want to know what not to do, just email me or call me. Right. Also criminal history, Tom, and anybody else who's interested, any physical offenses against persons, whether it be, we even break it down to, was it violent and fatal or violent and non-fatal, kidnapping, sex offenses, et cetera, et cetera. And then in addition to that, we have a list, if anybody wants it, of our pet policy, right, on which breeds we just will not take. Brandon's daughter is one of them, so she would not be allowed in it.
She chews on everything.
We'd have to sell it to a cash buyer. No, anyway, so if anybody wants any of this stuff, I'd happy to send it over. But the net rent is something that a lot of property management companies are not going with, and we do. Like it is so important. If somebody makes $10,000 a month, but they owe child support and back this, and their wages have been garnished or whatever, it doesn't really matter that they say they're making 120 grand a year or $10,000 a month. It really only matters, what they take home, right? Because that's the part that we get a piece of, right? So it's super important. So glad you like it. We have, again, if you want to know what not to do, we're here for you. So again, the note's written as a 12-month term. Probably in this one be 6 months, but the good news with us is we do so much volume that usually within a week your money can be back into another project. Some of our lenders right now honestly just tell us just keep it and move it to the next one. So we're starting to kind of work into that as well. So if anybody wants an easy deal at 10% for 83,000, this one's it. So
yeah,
if you guys, I got my chat up, guys. So if you have any questions, if I ever get distracted, it's because I'm trying to read too. But Brandon, do you have anything else to add on this one?
I don't think so. I'm going to bounce, D. I don't want you guys to have to hear the kids. But yeah, welcome. My only thing maybe to add is just to kind of connect it. If you're going into Boswell, it's just, we're going to get an 80% loan. So we're going to get like a $92,000 loan. And, obviously if it appraises at 115, if it appraises at 120, we'll get a higher loan. But then kind of walk them through how that micro loans, how they come about. And then you can show them obviously Boswell. So I just want to connect the dots, because when I do talk to a lot of lenders, they just, I think it's the connecting of that dot just to see how the money's constantly moving around in these deals. That might help them. So
awesome. Thanks for joining us, man. Good
Thanks,
luck.
Steve.
Good luck with
Bye-bye.
The family stuff.
Thanks, bud. Bye-bye.
Brandon's 100% right. And yeah, so he's having kind of a family emergency out in Arizona. So I was really happy he could jump on for this. He is the operating side of things. He handles a lot of the construction. Just so everybody here knows, he's he's the operations manager and kind of the construction manager in our small team merry men, but somehow we're able to buy over 100 houses a year, and there's really only like 8 or 9 of us. So that's so we're cooking, right? We have been in a position before where we have had up to 28 employees, and I know that's not a lot when you compare us to companies like obviously Best Buy, Target, et cetera. But for us, it was just not what I wanted to do. So we've been able to kind of streamline all of our systems. We use a lot of technology, and we use just systems and processes for everything we do. So if anybody's interested in finding out how to scale your home buying company, or even if you want to know more about lending, obviously hit me up. So Brandon brought up a good point, right? So on this particular deal, first lien amount, right? 83,000. So the idea of this one is that on the backside, right? And the backside means that when we start going into longer term money, so the 83,000, actually my mom lends, by the way, and my mom had a question. She's been lending to us for 3 or 4 years, and she's sweet. She's a piano teacher here in Texas. She's been doing that for 50 years, right? And she's been able to accrue some extra cash. And so she does lend. I think she's got about 300 grand out with us right now. It's just part of the 3 million that we kind of are constantly cycling through. But she had a great question. She's like, okay, so if you're keeping this as a rental, how do I get my money back? Right? Do I just keep it in there forever? And I laughed. I mean, it's mom, right? So it's just, her trust in me was amazing. And I said, no, mom, remember when you lend to us on the front side, whether it be first or second lien opportunities, you actually get paid back when, when things flip, right? So when we do that refi, we get the money replaced, right? And the whole idea of doing the refinance is so that hopefully we can put it into longer term money, because traditionally on the front side, as you guys have seen with this, when we buy a property, let's call this fix and flip financing. On the front side, we only keep it for a year, right? Well, what if Brandon and I want to keep this thing for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 forever, right? What if I want to pass this on to my little 4-year-old Asher in 20 years or 30 years or whatever? We need longer term financing for that. So the minute that longer term financing gets done, and Brandon did touch on that, when the appraisal gets done, and hopefully it appraises at 115, although by the way, appraisers are historically awful at hitting value if there's not a purchase agreement or a contract stating what the purchase price is, right? So this is a major problem for anybody that's doing the BRRRR method and you're trying to buy houses, fix them up, rent them, and then refi and then repeating them. It's a huge problem, right? But you guys wouldn't really want to lend on backside refinances because it would only be a 6 or 7% rate of return, probably, right? So anyway, so we use institutional lenders for that side of things. Brandon and I do own a loan brokerage. It's called Infinite Capital, and traditionally we'll throw most of our deals through that, and we're able to find hedge funds that are willing to be happy, and some of them even keep that in-house, about 6 to 7%. So on this particular deal, just to kind of tie the dots, like Brandon said, I think that's a great idea for everybody. If we got the loan, let's say it appraises at 115,000 and we do an 80% loan to value, that would mean traditionally that our new loan is 92,000, right? So that 92,000 actually goes to pay off the 83,000 here that the front side lender lent, right? And then it also, hopefully we can wrap up some of our closing costs in this deal and move forward. Right. But what happens if the appraiser comes out here and misses value, right? So this happens all the time. If they come out there and miss value, and let's say they hit 107, right? Well, we know it's worth 115. And anybody that's been around a really long time knows that every appraiser is not created the same or different. But if we were at let's say they come in at 107 or 106, even I haven't done this, so hopefully it works, times 0.8, right? So now I'm only at $84,000, right? So if I'm at $84,000 for the new loan amount, the good news is I'll actually cash flow just a little bit better. The bad news is that after I pay off the first lien, now I have to come up with closing costs out of my own pocket, as well as carrying costs and all the extras that go into this. A lot goes into the flipping business that is not, just purchase and the repair, right? So we would be coming out with carrying costs and all that stuff. So when you utilize the BRRRR method, your hope as an investor is to kind of wrap all of this up, right? So in this particular case, happens all the time. Somebody comes in, an appraiser comes in, and they appraise it a little bit low. So now what Brandon and I do is we do bring that money to closing, but Brandon and I want to scale, right? So we don't want to have 10 or even 15, $20,000 in every deal. Because if we had $20,000 in every deal and we're buying 120 a year, Brandon and I would have to have $2.4 million of our own money tied up every year in properties. Now that's an extreme example, right? That's 20 grand. A lot of times it's more like 12. But even if you take that, that's still going to be about 1.4, right? What am I doing here? Yeah. Yeah, $1.44 million, right? So now Brandon and I could take some money every year and leave it in deals. And of course we will. We do that all the time. But to go back to this, our lenders came to us and said, do you have an opportunity where I can put money into a rental that you have? So I get the guaranteed rent, not only from us, but the business and the tenant. Is there a play here where, I could give you guys money on a 5, 6, or even a 7-year term, right? Because they just look at the scenario, right? We just talked about it. It's a 12-month term, but you're probably going to get your money back in 6 months, right? So eventually it becomes a headache to get your money back, make sure you got it all, go to the bank, whatever your systems are, right? And then you got to sometimes go to the bank to wire out another chunk. Well, wouldn't it be easier if you could just have your money in a property? So that money is going towards this to help cover kind of some of our costs. Specifically, if appraisals do come in low. Another instance could be if something happened during the remodel that we weren't planning on, like we opened up a wall, or like we're working on a property right now in Birmingham that needs extensive foundation work that we just didn't see coming. So some of that stuff can happen. Our goal is to just not have 20, 30, 40, $50,000 tied up in every property. So we invented the rental backed microloan. So let me pull up a new flyer here. And we had a lot of interest on this last week. So that's the reason why I wanted to kind of show it to everybody. So we created this last summer called a rental backed microloan. It's a second lien position. So you would be behind the first lien. We talked about this last week. But these are 5 to 7 year terms, right? You get 12% interest for 5 to 7 years. You get paid out monthly. When we get our cash check from when we get our cash flow, I guess, right, from our tenant, after we pay the first, you immediately get paid. Our lenders, by the way, always get paid before we get paid, always. So that's just a good tip for you guys to know. This particular property is in, let me see, where is it? It's in Huntsville. I should know that by now. I bought it. It's a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It's a total gut job. So you can see the bathroom. That's kind of what the quality of our work looks like. We are the opposite of slumlords. In fact, sometimes we do too much. Because remember, we get a lot of our money up front. So we want to make sure we have those repairs and upgrades done up front, right? This property right now is worth about 200 grand. I just ran comps myself. By the way, I comp out every single one of our properties. It's never an executive assistant. I don't have any of my team do it. I am the guy that looks at all of our values all the time. Investment needed on this one. I mean, I guess not needed, but wanted, right? 20 grand for this one. We'll pay out 12% from our cash flow. It's over a 5 to 7 year term. We've had a lot of luck with this. This is a great situation for 2 things. Number one, well, 3 things actually. Number one, if somebody doesn't want their money back regularly and they just want to cash checks, just think of them like dividends, right? You're just getting money monthly on whatever you loan. So in this particular case, you'd be getting about, what is that, like, no math challenge suddenly, right? 20,000 times 0.12. Yeah, right. So $200, right? So you literally get $200 a month. And then the goal of this is to pay you even more than that, right? So you're going to be getting some of your principal back, but you would always get $200 until we pay off the entire amount. The reason why it says 5 to 7 year term is it's called a balloon, right? So a balloon just means that all of your money is guaranteed back in that time frame, right? Our current first lien amount, our first mortgage on this is 138. So you can see we have quite a bit of equity in that. And our current rent on this thing is $17.95. And guys, these guys pay like clockwork. They pay every single month. They are one of our best tenants. By the way, we only offer these to our lenders if they have we call them performing, right? But it's not notes because we're not selling it. We call it a performing rental, right? It just means that they are paying, because even though our entire portfolio brings tens of thousands of dollars in every single month extra, I just don't want to ever have to rob Peter to pay Paul. So we always want the asset that you're lending on to be a quality tenant. These guys have 680 credit scores. They actually put double security deposit down. I mean, these guys are these are literally one of our top 3 tenants out of all of our properties. So, but anyway, so we're offering $20,000 on this as an investment opportunity for anybody that wants to take part. And again, 5 to 7 years, you get it forever. The other instance where this is good is if maybe you only have 20,000, right? I mean, all of us have to kind of start from somewhere, right? So a lot of us on this, including myself included, sometimes if I'm real estate rich and cash poor, we don't have $500,000, right? We don't have 200. We don't have the 83,000 maybe on that last deal. Maybe you only have 10 to 20,000. So these are kind of nice, especially if you're trying to diversify, right? So maybe you already lent another investor 50,000 and then maybe you want to try us out, right? So that's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice in to see how we work, build the relationship. We've had a lot of investors that are brand new that have taken this as well. They really like the fact that they can lend only 10 to 20,000 ish. We traditionally don't like to go over 20 because if we go over 20, I just don't want to ever get in a spot where I'm paying you so much interest per property that I can't guarantee that it'll be back in 5 to 7 years. So these are always going to be a little smaller. It's just a way for us to kind of recycle our cash. Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah, for sure. So, and then the other part, I already mentioned it, but if you want to diversify, whether it be through us or just us and maybe another investor that's looking for money, right? We just had a new client, I guess, a new lender with us that lent us, I think it was 150,000, and he didn't want to put it all into one first lien. He wanted to diversify across several different. So I believe he's doing 7 different investments, just different things on 7 different properties, but it's all with us, right? So he just said, look, guys, I really want to lend to you guys, but I don't like the fact that all my money's tied up in one property. So I really want to kind of, spread it around because he just, it's just a new relationship, I mean, he trusts us, but he doesn't trust us. And we completely get it, right? We've been doing this a really long time, and our goal is to not ever lose anybody any money, obviously. And it's only Brandon and I have lost money 5 times. Let's just put it that way. And our lenders have never lost money. So I think that's super important to know. But when you just shake somebody's hand and you've got 6 figures, I mean, you don't want to just, you want to kind of mitigate in your own head, right? So he did that. He loves it. He's already gotten 4 or 5 checks, 4 or 5 months worth of checks on that 150, and he kind of spread it around. So these are the 3 instances that we've seen where people really, really like this, whether you have not a ton of cash at this moment, you want to diversify, right? Or you just don't want to keep getting your money back all the time and having to reinvest it. If you just like the idea that you can collect checks, and it's even safer, I think it's even less pain in the butt than having to actually deal with the tenants. You're just the lender, right? So you just kind of, you check show up whenever. So do you guys have, oh my gosh, this is so much information. Go into the chat real quick. I got it up. So I saw Tom's, I saw Cynthia's. Let me check Cynthia's question while you guys are thinking. What questions do you have for me? And it could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be about just the lending stuff. If you have questions about buying properties, cities, rental terms, tenant screening questions, it could be about any of that stuff. Brandon's probably more of the commercial mobile home park buyer guy. So wait for maybe next week when he's back for that. But what do you have for me? And I'm going to read Cynthia's thing real quick. So I coach on the side. I do coach real estate investors. This is not a pitch, I promise. I coach a lot. So my education, my mom is a piano teacher. She's been doing it for 50 years. I love education. So if anybody wants any of our information, we have a scope of work for our GCs that we give everybody. It's a very detailed 7-page template for that. I could give that out. We've got our buy box criteria. If you guys are interested in ever seeing just how we buy, 100 to 200,000 end value in select cities, can't be next to any any parking lots that people are trying to demolish. Like, we don't really like to do rehabs now that are over 50 grand, for example, just because anything you do that's outside of our buy box just kind of increases the risk of not only us, but our lenders. So we just don't like doing that. Be careful about using Zillow for estimates. They've actually gotten a lot more accurate in the last 10 to 15 years, but just this is my 20th year as a licensed real estate agent. I can tell you they are my Achilles heel, because they sometimes are right on and they're sometimes way off. And the other problem with Zillow is sometimes they'll just give you as is value, but they won't give you more of like your distress value. There's not a range, right? They don't give you the distress value. They don't give you we call it ARV, after repair value, like on a full gut flip, like you see kind of in this picture. They don't really give that. So there's always a range to value based on finish out, even if they kind of have the algorithm for the house. So just be really careful with Zillow and the Zestimate for sure. But anyway, so we have buy box, if anybody wants to see that, you just have to email me and I'll try to get to it. We're great at marketing. If anybody wants to know how to market, not just for obviously lenders, but mainly for houses, we're really good at marketing and acquisitions for houses. We have core values as a company, so we always want to do right by anybody, even our home sellers, right? So you'd think sometimes home buyers can be very all about them. Let's just put it that way. Think of used car salesmen. No offense to any used car salesman on this call. I have buddies that do that. We try not to come at it from that. We try to come up very educational. It's like, look, here's your options. You can sell it on the MLS for 120. Otherwise, we'd offer you 90 or whatever. Here's what you'd probably have to do before you could sell it. You're also going to have to pay a real estate agent, title policy, lender required repairs, buyer required repairs, survey, homeowner's warranty. You're going to have to pay all these costs, right? So like, you might be not comparing the difference between 120 and 90. You might just be comparing the difference between maybe 105 and 90, right? So, and there is a difference. We might be lower, but, and we kind of ripped this off from the Staples commercials, but we are the easy button, right? So, and we just kind of leave it up to the seller. So if anybody's interested in any of that stuff, I'd be more than happy to help out. So, got it, Tom. Awesome. Yeah, just let me know how I can help. Anybody have anything else? I don't mind wrapping up now. So it's 1 o'clock my time, Central Standard. If anybody wants to hit me up, I did drop my email, I believe, right? I dropped my email. Yep, there it is. So just hit me up, email me. We can get on a call and we can go through some stuff. If anybody's interested in these lending opportunities, obviously these are the first one's probably a little bit more time sensitive than this one. I think we had this one around last week and we had some people that are interested, but just we've been so busy. I think they ended up taking a different opportunity instead. So this one is still available. So awesome. You guys have been great. Just really appreciate your time. Again, if you want, and Cynthia, if you want the challenge for me, just, you know what, I'm going to copy and paste this. Can you, Cynthia, what's your email? Do you want to just hit me up on the side? Just email me this. I'll take care of it. Yes, for sure. So all of this information is in the Private Money Club, and I am in there as well, by the way. So all you have to do is look for Dwight Harrison. I think I'm under borrower. But again, we're way more than that. We're borrowers, we're educators, we're just trying to help everybody out. Hence the reason why I'm doing this, right? Stephen called up and said he's going to be on a flight, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, we all kind of got value still out of this week. Cool. All right, let me figure out how to end this thing. But otherwise, have a great week. If anybody needs anything, just let me know.